So we're going to go with what we got here to read, Neville. And we're going to go with all trivia from the Law and the Promise. Chapter 13. It says, general knowledge is remote knowledge. It is in particulars that wisdom consists, and happiness too. Isn't that funny? That's like when words don't teach, only life experience teaches. It's easy to make blanket generalizations about something as a general knowledge of what should be done. But unless you've really been in the situation and understand the particulars, that's where the wisdom comes from, and happiness. We must use our imagination to achieve particular ends, even if the ends are all trivia. Because men do not clearly define and imagine particular ends, the results are uncertain, while they might be perfectly certain. To imagine particular ends is to discriminate clearly. How do we distinguish the oak from the beech or the horse from the ox? But by the bounding outline. Definition asserts the reality of the particular thing against the formless generalizations which flood the mind. I guess this would be like Alan Watts' background conversation. It's the context versus the content. Life on earth is a kindergarten for image making. That's a really cute way to describe it. I haven't heard that before. Life on earth is a kindergarten for image making. The bigness or littleness of the object is to be created is not in itself important. It takes the same amount of effort to create a castle or a button. Saying the same thing. The great and golden rule of art, as well as of life, said Blake, is this, that the more distinct, sharp, and wiry the bounding line, the more perfect the work of art, and the less keen and sharp, the greater is the evidence of weak imitation. What is it that builds a house and plants a garden but the definite and determinate? Leave out this line, and you leave out life itself. The following stories are concerned with the acquiring of seemingly little things, or toys as I call them, but they are important because of the clear, imaginal images that created the toys. The author of the first story is one of whom it is said she has everything. This is true. She has financial, social, and intellectual security. She writes, as you know, through your teaching and through my practice of that teaching, I have completely changed myself and my life. 2 weeks ago, when you spoke of toys, I realized I had never used my imagination for the getting of things, and I decided it would be fun to try it. You told of a young woman who was given a hat by merely wearing the hat in her imagination. The last thing on earth I needed was a hat, but I wanted to test my imagination for this getting of things, so I selected a hat pictured in a fashion magazine. I cut the picture out and stuck it on the mirror of my dressing table. I studied the picture carefully. Then I shut my eyes, and in my imagination, I put that hat on in my head and wore it as I walked out of the house. I did this just once. The following week, I met some friends for lunch, and one of them was wearing the hat. We all admired it. The very next day, I received a parcel by special delivery messenger. The hat was in the parcel. The friend who had worn it the day before had sent the hat to me with a note saying she did not particularly care for the hat and didn't know why she'd bought it in the first place, but for some reason she thought it would look well on me. And would I please accept it? Movement from dreams to things is the power driving humanity. We must live wholly on the level of imagination with a capital I. And it must be consciously and deliberately undertaken. All my life I've loved birds. I enjoy watching them, hearing their chatter, feeding them, and I am particularly fond of the small sparrow. For many months I've fed them crumbs of morning bread, wild bird seed, and anything I believe they would eat. And for all those months I've been frustrated as I watched the larger birds, particularly the pigeons, command the area, gobbling up most of the good seed and leaving the husks for my sparrows. To use my imagination on this problem seemed facetious to me at first, but the more I thought of it, the more interesting the idea became. So one night I set out seeing the little birds come in for their full share of daily offerings. And I would tell my wife that the pigeons no longer interfered with my sparrows, but took their share like gentlemen and then left the area. I continued this imaginary action for almost 1 month. Then one morning I noticed that the pigeons had disappeared. The sparrows had breakfast all to themselves for a few days. For those few days, no larger bird entered the area. They did return eventually, but to this day, they've never again infringed on the area occupied by my sparrows. They stay together, eating what I put out for them, leaving a full share of the area to my tiny friends. And do you know, I actually believe the sparrows understand. They no longer seem to be afraid when I walk among them. I was watching sparrows on my feeder all morning. A little family that came. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I think those are two perfect, beautiful stories about the power of how we think about things. And thinking of the world right now and so many things happening, it's so important that those of us who know the power of imagination focus on the good things, focus on peace, the power of peace, the power of a great leader being elected who does wonderful things. And I know it sounds preposterous, but as long as we believe it to be, it will be. And this study, this channel, the whole purpose of all of this is to find happiness and a way of living that begins here and feels amazing and then moves out from us and starts sort of this wave of happiness, because it's really what I see. And in everything that's happening or has been happening, you could find the cause, the deep root cause of the issue being unhappiness. Blaming someone else for something, needing someone else to fix something, claiming you can fix, just needing to be liked, needing to be all these different things where self-satisfaction, the ability to self-soothe, knowing how to have a good time and have fun rather than catastrophizing and needing an apocalypse to feel purposeful. It really is a huge piece, or it is the missing piece to what could be our little utopia, our little kindergarten of image making. We're the ones making these images, and so we're the ones that need to protect what our minds look at and think of the good, the beauty. Look at baby bunnies, look at the garden. I spend so much time with my flowers, and I didn't know I liked bunnies, or even I thought I had a black thumb until I was like 39. We all have those things in us that make our souls blossom, that calls us forth, that fulfill us in a different way, that allow us to find the peace, that allow us to find the focus and the love in our hearts to create images of a world we want to see. And that's why we need to be the change we want to see in the world. We need to envision it, believe it, have faith in it, visualize it, and not look or engage with anything that tells us otherwise. And with that, I shall go enjoy my day and all the beautiful things in it. Thanks for being here with me.